Hey, beautiful. Welcome back to the No BS Human Design Podcast. This is officially the last week that you are capable of joining our upcoming Human Design and Reiki retreat, the best effing retreat. We are shutting the doors to this and getting the final head count just this weekend. So if you're listening to this today, Thursday, October 3rd, you have literally one day. Doors close tomorrow, and we have 2 rooms left where you have the opportunity to meet us in Florida and have 3 full, beautiful immersion days of myself with human design, with tapping, all the magic that I bring, community, conscious feminine healing, like think witch wounds. Everyone's talking about that, right? It's October. And of my partner, Viola, and all of her crystal Reiki magic, all of her experience in the health and wellness industry and healing from an energetic standpoint. That's literally how she got into her business, was healing herself on an energetic level that healed all her physical ailments. So you have us for 3 full days, plus an entire month of follow-up coaching and guidance so that you are actually going back into the world with everything that you've learned and you're not just getting thrown into the wild, like after so many retreats where you feel worse after you went because you're back in your regular life and nothing has changed. That's not this. So you literally have one day left to make that decision to join us. Shoot me a message or an email, or shoot via message or an email. We are happy to hop on a call with you if you want to chat further and see if it's a good fit. We're capping it at 8 women, so there's not too many people. So you get all of our attention, just you guys. I am so freaking deeply excited about this. This is probably the first of what's going to be like this crazy new level of my business. I mean, if you've been listening for a minute, you know my rebrand is coming. I have the photo shoot the week after we get back from this retreat. So, and I plan that accordingly because I'm going to be a different person after this retreat, not just the attendees. So my photo shoot's coming up, and probably, hopefully the brand will be announced before Christmas. And I am so deeply excited. It feels like this full body, like visceral knowing that this is the next step. And this retreat is kind of the opening to that. So I am like, I can't even put into words how I feel. So, one more day to make a decision to join us. Now, today on the podcast, I am introducing you to a new friend of mine who I met in a community that I'm a part of with a mentor that I very much admire. And I want to drop that here really quick because I am such a big believer in this mentor's work. I share her work all the time. And this is a community called Legend in the Making, where she is literally just like dropping like any spur of the moment intuitive downloads. She's just such a beautiful channel for information from source. Like you can feel it. You get like the full body tingles when she talks. And she just downloads this information and she's telling it all to you in this private podcast. We also have a private community chat. She gives us all these cool downloads and discounts, I should say. And she's a 7-figure business owner. So you're essentially getting all of the active thoughts of a 7-figure business owner the moment that they happen. And she is, in my opinion, the queen of energetics. So that's why I follow her. That's why I love her. I have changed so much since being in this community, and it's at a super affordable price. So I put the link in the comments. I am an affiliate because I'm such a big believer in her work. If you are feeling like you need a community like that, check it out. It's very affordable. I think it's $59 a month, I want to say, is what I am paying. But you get so much out of that. And it feels like I've actually formed my own little mastermind of women within that community. And today, the woman you're meeting is one of those women who is in my newfound mastermind. Her name is GiGi Diaz, and she's a certified business and media coach, media personality, host of the Chats with GiGi podcast. And she's an entrepreneur who's just recently celebrating 20 years of experience with her first business, GiGi's Dance Academy. Outside of dance, she's also the founder of Seizing Happy, a coaching organization dedicated to nurturing the businesses of and women behind the business equally. And add this on top, she founded the Seizing Happy Foundation, a nonprofit helping BIPOC women achieve financial success through entrepreneurship. She is a really cool chick. We hit it off right from the bat. I mean, she's had a successful career in broadcast media and worked with people like Jennifer Lopez, Chrissy Metz, and all these different like influencer brands she's worked with, like Pandora, Xfinity, Topo Chico, Mazda. She just has a wealth of experience. And the way that she is leading her business in the past few years is literally through channeling from downloads that she receives from source, God, universe, whatever you choose to call it. So when we started having a conversation about this, I was like, you need to come on the podcast and talk about this so that my people and me, of course, this is totally selfish too, can start to learn how we can do those things. Now, in my case, it works a little differently for me. I've been told it's because I'm more claircognizant, where I just have this knowing. So if you are having trouble resonating with the things that she's saying about certain signs or hearing or whatever, maybe you're a little bit more like me where you just have this knowing. And either way, this conversation is going to be so helpful for you to feel that validation and that confirmation from God, source, universe, whoever, and help you channel the next step in your business or the next partner that needs to come in for you or whatever it is, help with your child, right? Like we have this limitless potential to tap into the abundance of information that is waiting for us in the energetic realm and the spirit realm if we just open up to it. So it's a really fascinating conversation. You might want to take notes for this. So grab a pen and paper if you're not driving. I hope that you love GiGi as much as I do. And of course, reach out to her on Instagram, send her a message. She wants to hear from you. She wants to hear what your takeaways are, what you loved, and maybe what you have questions on. So don't hesitate to reach out to either of us at any point in time. All right, enjoy the episode. Welcome to the No BS Human Design Podcast. I'm Adriana Keefe, human design coach and motivational speaker. I went through my quarter life crisis in my 20s and had to learn how to navigate through finding what I was meant to be doing with my life. I refused to believe in the culture that said we were all meant to have the same path and boring careers until we retire and die. And along my journey, I found human design, a system that reveals your energetic blueprint, showing you where and how to access your body's consciousness and how to live as your true self. Human design changed my life, so I started sharing it with others and changing their lives, but we were all finding the same problem: a lack of resources that explain the system in easy and useful ways. So I created this show where we dive deep into the lessons of the human design system without the BS and the noise you find on the internet. Listen in for lessons in human design, finding your purpose, manifestation and spiritual practices, human design within business, and so much more. We connect with other experts in the human design and spiritual realm in a refreshingly honest way to help you find your way along your spiritual path and live this life with intention. It's time to let go of the societal expectations of being and let yourself find abundance through being uniquely you. Let's get started. Well, hello, beautiful GiGi. I'm so excited to have this conversation. We recently met in a community, and to be honest, I didn't really know much about you. I just saw your name all the time in the community, and I like people who are interactive. So I was like, oh, she's cool. Makes sense. You're a fourth line. That's totally networker, relationships. And then when you and I connected, I looked at your stuff, your business. I was like, holy fuck, this girl is like on fire. Like you have so much going on. I would love for you to take a minute to introduce yourself.
Thank you so much for that and for bringing me in front of your gorgeous audience. This is so exciting. A little bit about me. I was born in Cuba and I've literally been part of media ever since I was like 5 or 6 years old. And so I always thought that that would be my end goal, what I was going to do. And fast forward, I come to the United States. I continued doing different things in television, commercials. Then radio found me after television, and I pursued a career in media for long over 20 years. I mean, I'm coming up on 40 now and I started when I was 5, but um in that process, I also launched my first business 20 years ago, and that was a dance studio. It was the only thing I thought I knew how to do at the time, even though I'd been successfully working for a magazine since I was 15, 16 years old doing the graphic design and interviews for celebrities. I was writing articles on how to get funding to go to college because I knew that that was something that like the parents in my community were really curious about. And I had the best the best counselor in high school who was like really good at giving me all this information. And I was like, I got to share this with my friends from the newspaper, the people who are reading this and don't know how to get into college because we broke as fuck out here. Like, we need help, you know? So it was like, you got to study. There's these scholarships are available and these grants and things. And so, even then when I turned 18 and I had to still have money to go to college, right? I was like, well, the only thing I know how to do is dance. And in retrospect, I was like, I should have just gone into doing more paid work in journalism, would have made a lot more money. But it's what led me to my first business. And that dance studio, Gigi's Dance Academy, just celebrated 20 years last September, which is
Oh
like
my God. That's incredible.
crazy and fun. And then in that process and that beautiful journey and chaos, I went through a serious burnout experience where I was doing mornings in radio because when you're in radio, like the definition of success for radio is you're either the morning show or the afternoon drive. So I was doing the morning show. And then the definition of success in television is you're either doing news or you're doing sports, right? Because it's either like the money, the fame, the this, the that. And so I tried news, super depressing, couldn't handle it. And then I went to sports. So I was doing harness racing for the United States Trotting Association, traveling for the races and stuff like that. And I would end really late at night, having to wake up at like 4:30 in the morning for mornings on radio while running the business, while of course you need all these tools to prove you're worthy and going for my master's degree. And then I remember one day I was driving on the highway and I couldn't see where I was going anymore. My vision went completely black and I could hear the car zooming and I had no clue what was going on. And I was like, oh shit, I'm going to die or I'm going to fucking kill someone right now. And it was the worst feeling I'd ever had. And then fast forward, you know, I thought to myself, I'm like, why am I even doing any of this? Why am I even doing all this work, all these things that on paper look incredible and I'm still lacking because if I didn't feel empty inside, I wouldn't need another huge milestone. I wouldn't need another huge project. I wouldn't need another thing. And I realized that A, I was chasing everybody else's definition of success, not my own. And B, that I became a lot more successful when I was able to guide myself intuitively and then find the resources that supported my intuition toward the goals that I wanted to achieve. And that completely changed the way I did business and the way I lived my life. And when I was able to really polish that and hone in on what works for that and how that works, and I was able to replicate it with a few first of my friends and then a few people that I knew that weren't necessarily friends and I know would call me on my bullshit if something didn't work, right? Um, I got my certification as a coach and I opened my now current business, Seizing Happy, where I focus on helping women entrepreneurs lead successful businesses intuitively. And so it starts from within. And that's a nutshell. And I'm also a mom of a dog who's crazy and cranky, who hates my human baby. And I spent all of my life just keeping them separate from each other when I am not working.
Oh my God, that's so stressful. Well,
It's the most stressful thing I've ever done is keep my dog away from my baby.
seriously, that's really hard. Well, first of all, I'm really glad that you're still here after such a scary, life-threatening incident. I can't even imagine that feeling. I do not want to. So I feel like, universe, God source was just navigating your car through that. Because, like, how else do you survive that? That's insane. It was a part of your bigger purpose, it sounds.
I think so. And I have chills right now as like, as I'm remembering that moment where it's like your hands are sweating, you hear the cars. And there was a moment when I was like, I'm going to die. And then there was another moment where it was like, if I don't die and I kill someone, it's going to be worse. It was
Mm.
the worst feeling. Um, but I think you're absolutely right because if I hadn't had that experience that led me to look inward to realize that I was trying to walk down all the paths that other people said I should be on, I would have never discovered this life that I so enjoy and that I am truly co creating with my own desires. And sometimes that looks beautiful and sometimes that looks catastrophic, but it's mine. It's not, when there's chaos in my life, I can sit in it and say, okay, what did I do to get me here that I can truly control because this is all my creation based on my desires and my logic and my intuition versus like I knew I shouldn't have listened to that person when I did this and now look. I knew I shouldn't have XYZ that my mom said or my friend or my husband or my whatever and now look. That's such a tougher place to be in, and I think that without that scare, I wouldn't have discovered this power. And this power is so delicious.
Hey, beautiful. We're taking a hot minute here just so I can introduce you to a wonderful friend of mine and a huge supporter of the 100-mile Ruck charity event that I just did back in July. If you haven't already met my beautiful friend, Holly Haynes, she is a business strategist and founder of Crush the Rush. You might have heard of her podcast or her club. It's literally Crush the Rush, everything. And she is so magical at helping female entrepreneurs build a thriving, scalable business that reaches six figures and beyond without getting stuck in the social media hustle. Literally, her thing is this 5-day CEO week challenge that's completely free, and I still use it to this day. It's a Trello board that I can open up on my computer and keeps me in line with everything that I need to do and not getting lost in everything else. So she built her 7-figure business while working full time. And this challenge helps you do the same thing, even if you're not working full time, even if you only have 8 hours a week because you're a mom and you're staying at home with the kiddos, whatever it is, this is all you need to start dedicating that time to your dreams. So I've been following Holly for a long time now, and her stuff is so gold. The challenge is all about ditching the hustle and finally designing a schedule that works for you and is successful. I will drop a link to her free CEO week challenge in the comment section below. Feel free to grab it and let me know what you think. Enjoy. Absolutely. And I want to point out too that you are a 2-4 sacral generator, right?
Yes.
And you still had burnout that made your body physically sick. That is a big thing that I talk about in my work because they talk about generators in human design being like nonstop. You can use your energy for everything.
The
And I'm a
machine.
manifesting generator and I burned out, not to that extent, thank God, but it's a real functional physical problem because we are not doing things based on true sacral fire. We're doing them just to do them. So I just
And
had to point that out.
yeah, and I love that you said that because when I discovered human design and I was like reading about generators, I was like, yeah, this is me. This is me. I am literally the energy machine. I'm the energizer bunny. And then I would think about like, well, how bad must it have truly been inside my body that as a generator with the characteristics of my human design, I burnt out
Mm-hmm.
to the point like my hair was falling out. I hadn't had a period for like 3 months and I wasn't worried about it because I also wasn't with anybody because I was too busy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I had like these crazy breakouts in my back and I was like, oh, this is so weird, but I'm busy. Like I was literally living my life on protein bars and energy drinks
Yeah, Red
and that
Bull.
was fine.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like that was
Yeah.
fine because I was just
Mm-hmm.
doing all these things and I was doing all these things and that felt good. But what I learned, especially after really tapping into, it's not about doing a lot of things. It's about doing the right things because
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the things that I was doing didn't light me up inside. And I didn't even understand that that was a possibility then
Yeah.
because you're just supposed to be doing things, right? Like you
Mm-hmm.
can't just sit, what is it, idle hands or the devil's playground or whatever, like
Yep.
keep busy,
Yeah.
so you just take on everything.
Yes.
But that's not what it is. It's taking on everything that lights you up because that's where, at least for generators, like that's where the refueling happens. It's because you're lit up, and even then you need to have idle hands. Just sit on them and look off into space and just be there because
Exactly.
you gotta also allow for the body to refuel.
Yeah. I literally my group program, the entire thing is built upon my own burnout for this reason. And like teaching people how to heal that sacral and come back to actual true function and connection to it. And I do want to touch upon this is a very, I mean, this is like running rampant in women in the United States, right? But there is something, in my opinion, exceptionally charged about this working harder aspect in the Latin community. That's how my father raised us, and that's all he knew, right? And I recently learned that Puerto Rico is one of the like 4 places, like I don't know, I don't know if it was the US or I think it was like multiple countries that receives an F for financial literacy. And I was like, this makes so much sense. My dad was doing the best he could. I always, until last year, had more than one job at a time. I'd have 4 jobs at a time sometimes.
I think you're absolutely right. And I did feel that in my bones for a really long time. And it was for sure one of the driving forces behind the must do more, must say yes to every quote unquote opportunity that in hindsight I realized were just shiny objects, not
Mhm.
opportunities. And we can talk for hours about what that is. But I think that the intention behind it is good, especially for first second generations. Myself as an immigrant, I think about this all the time where it's like, my parents gave up literally everything to bring me here. They weren't sure if they were ever going to see their own parents again. Like, I can't imagine my son having to decide to leave the United States and knowing like I may never see him. Like, I can't even finish that sentence, right?
Mhm.
But the intention is good, where it's like, well, we've sacrificed everything for you to have this opportunity to create anything that you want. But the knowledge about the different options to create is limited. And so, yes, you can create any life that you want, but there are many different ways you can do it. You can work through your human design, or you can just work. You
Yeah.
can work really, really hard, or you can work really, really smart. You can work alone and carry it all on your shoulders, or you can learn to collaborate and delegate. There are so many ways that you can do many, many things and achieve wonderful dreams and goals beyond your imagination. But I think the intention of like you must be your greatest, bestest is it comes from a good place, but like the knowledge of how many different options we have to get there is very limited. And that's where we find the burnout, especially in the Latino community. And then when you add to that, that there's also the element of like, and you must take care of your parents and you must help the rest of the family, especially if you left family back wherever you're from, right?
Yep.
And you must also be successful and you must get married, take care of that husband, and you must have 2 kids. Like, get the fuck
Mhm.
out of here.
So true. Yes.
It's so much, and so I feel like all of this pressure compounds and it can be suffocating,
Mhm.
unless you can learn to detach yourself from it lovingly and say, how much of this serves me? How much of this is true? How much of this aligns with the life that I want to live? And then you also have to be really courageous to step away from it because there's going to be judgment and pressure from the people around you who still believe that, who want to bring you back in because, again, with the really beautiful intentions of, I don't know where you're going. And that is scary because if I don't know, then you don't know. And if you don't know, you're going to die. Right. Like, but it's not that complicated. You know what I mean? Like, so if we can objectively look at, well, this isn't serving me and they may not like it, but it's not serving me,
Mhm.
and so, and being able to honor that also takes courage. But you don't have the bandwidth to see, evaluate,
Mm-mm.
understand any of this if
No.
you're just working hard and burning out. Like,
Yeah.
this
We
all
just go,
comes
go,
from
go.
pause. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And actually, a perfect moment to actually talk about your astrology because you have so much fire in your astrology too, just even in your top 3 alone, that's like this extra go, go, go energy. So it probably was even more difficult for you during that slowdown period. Do you want to say what your top 3 are?
Yes. So my moon is in Aries, my sun is Sagittarius, and I'm a rising Scorpio.
Mm, love that Scorpio. I just love meeting people with Scorpio. Yes. So much fire, so much go, go, go energy. That's a lot to handle.
And I have to tell you, during when I had my baby, that was the hardest thing for me was to learn how to like I thought I had mastered the sitting down and pausing. I thought I had learned how to slow down. I worked on it for so long. And then I had my baby and I was like, what is this? Slowing down is like going backwards.
Yes, thank you for saying that. Yes, there's as someone who has 3 kids, and I have so many online friends in a similar space who have done more, in my opinion, more than me. I have to continue to remind myself that they don't have kids, that they don't have like an instant shut off at 5 p.m. And I have to reel that pressure back in for myself and remember, because that's what I feel. I feel like I'm going backwards. If I can't keep going every single day, I'm still currently working through that feeling of, oh, fuck, I'm going backwards, which is not true. Like that's not, but because we're stopping for whatever reason, it does feel backwards. I never put words to that until you just said it.
Yeah, that's what maternity leave felt like for me was like, and I say maternity leave in quotations because I had planned within my business to be able to be away, to have the option, the opportunity to be away for 6 months. 2.5 month mark, I told my husband, I'm like, if I don't sit in front of my computer and look at something, I am going to die. And, and he was like, you can do whatever you want. And I remember sitting in front of my computer and not even doing any, like, I tried to read through emails and I had so much brain fog and I was so exhausted. And I was just like, my whole soul was just depleted into discovering
Yeah.
motherhood and what it meant to keep a human alive and
Mhm.
myself, on no sleep. And there was nothing that I could have done, but just the act of sitting in front of my computer and looking at, oh, look, there are 200 emails. This is good. Okay. Oh, look, there are things that I can get to online. Oh, great. Okay, I'm going to get up from here now. Like, just doing that
Yes.
lit me up. It was like, okay, like there's still work to come back to. And it was
Yes.
so weird because I also didn't want to do any of the work. I just wanted to know that it was there for me. And I don't even know what that means. Like, I hadn't thought about that until right now that we brought it up. And it's like, I don't even know what it was because I didn't work. I couldn't have, my brain wasn't working, right? Sometimes, some days I feel like my brain is still not working.
Yeah, that
But
never comes back.
yeah, what the fuck? Like, I don't understand why. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm taking all the supplements and I'm walking and doing the things. Like, I mean, my son still doesn't sleep, so that could be a part of it. But if you're
Yeah,
saying
for
never
sure.
comes back, like, I don't know.
It's
This
rough.
is where being a mom and an entrepreneur, I think, is like a superpower extra plus because you have to remember this shit and say, and I'm doing it with all this. So
Yes.
chill the fuck out, self, relax.
Yes.
Like,
Exactly.
I'm going at my own pace here because I can, because I want to, because I deserve to. So stop with
Mhm.
this outside pressure. I don't have time for this.
Exactly. Yep. And my memory is shit. It's still shit. I mean, but I also have three of them, so maybe it just got worse every time. But
We need an entire conversation where you can teach me how you do that. How do you do this times two more? I
help.
can't
I have a
even.
nanny.
Oh, I
So,
have a nanny too. I
yeah.
still don't know how I would do it with two more. Like, sometimes I look, I have I have the cameras and I look at them all day when I sit in here and I go out like between sessions with clients. I'll go out and like snuggle him. And sometimes he doesn't want to snuggle me, which is another thing. Like, my son's like, let me be. And I'm like, no, hug me,
Oh.
motherfucker, please. Like,
Oh.
why do you do this? And then he just doesn't want to. And so I watch them and he's like running and playing and doing all the things. And I'm just like, I would need two more nannies because there's no way that woman
Oh my God.
could keep my son from climbing up the wall with like another kid. Like, I
Yeah.
can't, I don't
Boys
know what
are a whole different beast. My older two are girls. The boy fucked shit up. Like
you're seeing.
he's a lot. He's a lot.
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah. That's what somebody was telling me, like, oh, are you teaching him some shit there that had cards in it? So I went and bought it. And I was like, okay, the little cards with the things. And so I sat with him and the cards are in Spanish and in English, and you put it in the little device and it's like carro, car, whatever. So I did the car because that's one of his, he loves playing with cars. I say carro, boom, boom. He doesn't say carro. He just goes boom, boom. And I go, yeah, papi, say carro, boom, boom. And then I go, what is this? And he goes, guagua. I go, y la guagua, ¿cómo así? He goes, boom, boom. I'm like, no, guagua, beep, beep. And he's like, boom, boom. And I'm like, okay. And then I go get the other card and he gets up, goes running, grabs the car, grabs the guagua and starts crashing them into each
Yeah.
other, putting them up the wall. And I'm like, these fucking cards don't work. So
That's exactly it. It's a boy
yeah,
thing. Yeah.
it's a boy thing. He doesn't want to sit
Yeah.
there and look at cards. He wants to have these cards in his
Hmm.
hands and run them into each other.
Yep, exactly. It makes it extra difficult for when mama needs to slow down. So actually, circling back to that, how? Like everyone who's listening is probably like, this sounds so great. I need to slow down. I need to tap into my intuition and let that lead. I need to tap into my design and let that lead, whatever it is. What did you start doing to open that part of you up?
Yes. So I'll be honest. I think that that part of me opened up on its own when I got pregnant.
Mm,
I always had some sort of spiritual practice before. I would try to meditate. Most of the time, moving meditations work better for me, like taking walks by myself, or doing some like stretching or moving, just any dancing that I can do on my own, almost like lights up my body and gives me an answer to whatever I'm looking for if I'm in physical movement. But I did try sitting meditations very often. I would do it every day for short amounts of time. But when I got pregnant, I feel like my body was like, listen to me. And there were so many moments in my pregnancy when I was like, I need this, I need this, and I just knew. And I wanted to make sure that that I kept that with me. And so what I do now is I remember that even if you're not a mom, even if you're struggling with infertility, even if you've never been pregnant, even if you've had pregnancies that you haven't been able, it doesn't matter. Your womb is powerful. Your womb is the space of creativity that will always have answers for you. It has answers beyond your ability to even imagine, because it is an ancestral device. It is a literal part of the machine, the perfect machine that is our bodies, right? The most perfect machine there ever was. And if you can tap into that and you can trust what you hear, the answers are always going to be the best. And so simple ways to do that. If you can take just 3 minutes, it doesn't have to, you don't have to sit in meditation for an hour and a half. I know I fucking can. Like this kid would not let me have an hour of stillness ever, right? Which is fine. I love him for that. I will have my hours of stillness again when he's older. But for now, I try to do it like in the mornings. So if he is awake and he's having his breakfast and he's doing his things and I'm with him, I will sit in front of him and I will make it intentional as I'm feeding him. I will tap into my hands. I will tap into the texture of like what the egg feels like in my hand as I'm feeding it to him. If his little teeth touch my nails, like I feel into all the moments so that I can bring myself really, really present and really be in the moment. Like, how does the chair feel on my butt? What is he looking like? Like, does he have a little bead of sweat? He sweats up here, like a little sweat mustache. Like, does he already have a little bead of sweat as he just woke up? Like, I really get into that moment so that it helps me once I can sit down and close my eyes. I'm already more deeply connected to the present versus coming from the chaos and then thinking I can sit here and close my eyes and go straight into like peace. I can't do. I can't. I know some people who can.
Yep.
I cannot. And so dedicating 3 to 5 minutes a couple of times a day is really, really good, but intentionally. So whether you want to call in your guides and say, I need your help, whether you want to call on your ancestral knowledge and talk to your womb and say, give me the solution, help me birth the thing I need, right? Whatever that thing is. Um, or if you want to tap into your highest self, I believe that what we have in this physical container is just a portion of all that we are, right? Like only a little piece of us fits in this physical machine that we have to be in, this body, right? Like this bag of bones, but the rest of us is there and the connection is there. And so the third thing that you can also do is you can have that conversation with your highest self and you can say, all right, we picked this, right? We've co-created this. There's a lot of our own doing in the reality of our lives. So what is my what is my learning in this? What is the thing that I'm supposed to take away from this? And so when it comes to what I choose, I'll choose if there's a stuckness that I feel, I'll talk to my highest self because I know that if I'm stuck with something is because there's a lesson, there's a learning, there's an opportunity that I haven't seen, right? Because I'm not paying close enough attention or maybe I'm paying too much attention.
Yes, I
So,
love that you added that. Yeah, I have some clients who
yeah,
like are struggling with fixating on something. It's really
right.
hard, that letting go piece.
Yeah. And so when it's something like that, I'll talk to my highest self and I'll say, what is my opportunity here? Where is my room for expansion here? Where is my opportunity to become or to like tap into my greatness? And then that answer will come that way. If it has to do with creating, whether it's creating relationships, creating something in my business, any creation, creating content, creating copy, like any creation, anything that is of the creativity space, I go into my womb always. And I'll talk to myself in there and I will say, okay, you are able to create all things. You are the ultimate creation machine. What do I need to know about this thing that I want to birth? You could ask, what is the thing that I want to birth? Or what do I need to know about the thing that I want to birth? And it'll come to you, right? And then when it comes to I call on my guides most of the time, and this is going to be weird, but most of the time, like I feel really fucking lonely, especially now, like this past
Yep.
year. I love being home with my kid. I really, truly love it. And I was just talking to a really dear friend of mine earlier today where I was like, my natural state of being is alone in silence. I am so good at being by my damn self.
Well, you're aligned too.
Yeah, I am happy to sit in this little tiny office and just be like this in silence for
Mhm.
hours or like play music and just like, I can do that for a whole day. However, there's a difference between choosing that and feeling like, man, can't get out of my house because I can't do this or I can't do that. Like I have a sitter, but she leaves at 3. I'm on mommy mode from 3 to the next day, right? Because again, the kid doesn't sleep. And then like weekends, I want to do family stuff. I don't want to do work things, you know? And so it can feel really lonely sometimes. And so when I call on my guides, I call on them to be a team. I call on them to remind me that I'm not by myself. Sometimes there are decisions that need to be made in this space. You know, you won't always need or want or get from your highest self or from your, like, sometimes you just need to do human shit and say yes or no, you know? And so that's the time when I'll call on my guides and be like, can you just show me that you're here and that I'm not alone in this shit? Like, can you just show me that I'm not walking by myself and that I'm not off path, that I am like still doing the thing that I'm meant to be doing.
What
And
kind
I'll
of
tell
stuff
you
do they
what,
show you? Because I know that someone's going to ask that. But what is
what
it?
is it? So I'll tell you what, you can choose what it is. And I'll give you a
Mhm.
perfect example that happened to me the other day. I go on walks almost every day with my son, and I try to walk for 1 hour, you know, mom shit. And sometimes I walk in silence. Sometimes I'll listen to stuff, the community that we're both in, like I'll listen to audios from there and stuff like that. Um, Most of the time I try to just walk in silence and like I'll point things out for the baby and I'm like, look, a squirrel, look, a dove. How does the dog do? Whatever. And
Vroom.
yeah, boom, boom. Every single fucking bus that goes by, wow, wow, boom, boom, wow, wow, boom, boom. Yes, it's a bus. Fuck. I'm like, I gotta teach you what all these other things with engines do because I can't. Um, but the other day I remember during the walk, I'm not with him right now. Like he was so excited. He was like pointing at things and like speaking his gibberish. And I felt so disconnected from him because I felt alone. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, I really don't want to feel this way. And I know that this is false. I know I'm not alone on this walk right now. I know that I'm walking with my team. And I'll even say that I'm walking with his spirit team. His spirit team is with him too. And I remember asking, and I was like, this is going to sound crazy, but anything is possible. So show me a dinosaur. Show me a dinosaur to show me that you're here. Like, show me a dinosaur to let me know you're walking with me because I'm just so fucking lonely right now. I feel so disconnected from this moment. I'm getting teary eyed thinking about it. So I'm walking and then I get like lost in my own head and I'm just like, oh, because da 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 da, and like thinking about like why I feel lonely and all these other things and just going down the rabbit hole. And my son starts pointing and he says, Mama, Mama, Mama. And he points and he points. And I'm like, what is he pointing at? And I look and there's these kids playing basketball. And I'm like, yeah, papi, la pelota, because he has a little ball here. He has no idea what to do. He just throws it at the dog and then the dog gets mad, but whatever. But he's like, look, it's a ball and they're playing basketball, right? And I'm like, yeah, papi, they're playing basketball. And I look and one of the little kids has a Super Mario shirt on with Yoshi, the
The little
dinosaur.
dinosaur.
And I was like, that's a dinosaur. Not here alone. And my son pointed it out because we are connected and everything is fine. So, like, this may sound so silly, but when you ask your spirit team to show you something, when you open the line of
Mhm.
communication, that's when you get what you need. You can't sit here and say, help me without, well, you can't sit here and say, why is nothing working out if you're not asking for help? And then
Mhm.
when you ask for help, you can't just say, help me, because there are so many different ways that help can come. Be specific, be fearless in what you ask for, be creative, have fun with it, right? Um, and so if you want to have that open communication, the first thing is ask for what you want, ask for the signs you want, right? Like, um, is it Is it a dragonfly? You know, do you want to see a dragonfly? Do you want to see I love I love nature, and like in my backyard I have like butterfly flowers and things like that. And so I'll ask for certain things. Um and I want that's what I want to see, right? And so, you know, don't be crazy and say like I want to see an airplane landing in New York something or other, but like you can say let me see an airplane out of place in an odd place, right? Like this is something I asked for once too, and I saw like a sticker of an airplane on the back of a car, and I was like, got it.
Yeah.
I see, you know?
Yep.
And so just little things like that that help you, that remind you, that help you to remember that you're not alone. And those are the three space. I'm sure there's many other ways that you can connect. Like I know people who use Oracle card. I have Oracle cards and all those things, and those are fun too. But I don't feel like you need any tools unless you like to.
No.
Then go for it. But you don't need any tools to connect to the energy that is a part of you, that is a part of the people, the spirit team that surrounds you, that is already built into your DNA. Like we are built knowing and having all that we need. And so if you can just tap into that and choose, you know, and maybe for you you want to turn to these three different sources of information for different reasons, right? So um just explore with it and play with it. And I apply this to everything. Like I apply this even to how I price my programs. It works.
This is actually how I decided to move forward with the group program about the sacral center. I had asked to see a purple rubber band, not like a hair elastic, like a rubber band, just came to me. And I was like, who the fuck uses rubber bands anymore? Like, this would be a hard find, right? Wouldn't you know, I was getting groceries the next day and they got delivered and I picked up, I think it was like herbs of some sort, and they were wrapped in a purple, thick ass rubber band. And I was like, okay, I see it. But then the trick is like, oh, this is just coincidence. Like you have to train yourself to just be like, I receive this. I receive it. Like, thank you, instead of pushing it away. I'm
Well,
very well known for being like, guides, can you give me like a more signier sign? Like that's how I've been building my trust.
I did do that a lot at first
Yeah.
too. I think
Yep.
before I became a mom, and then when I was pregnant, I was like, oh shit, I feel everything. Like I am the universe right now. It was so crazy. Like I can remember what it felt like, but I haven't yet been able to like go back to that full feeling of I literally once told my husband like I am the universe, and he just looked at me and he was like, "Yes."
I love you. Sure.
Whatever you
Yes.
say, babe.
Yes.
But but I think when you it's almost like if you told me like, "Gigi, can you give me a gift that's going to make me really really happy?" And I give you exactly what you want and I hand it to you, and then you're like, "I don't really want that one. Can you give me another one?" I might get it for you, but the third time I'll be like, bitch, figure it the fuck out.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, I'm
exactly.
gonna stay here right next to you. You're gonna figure it out, and then you're gonna pick up these two gifts I already gave you, and you're gonna be on your merry fucking way. Like, come on.
Yes.
So I that's what it's like.
Mhm.
You have to trust. Like if you ask for a purple rubber band and you get a purple rubber band, know that that is your sign and move forward with it and take action on it. Because if you're opening the communication, it's just like you'll never be abandoned by your guides because they have the best for you in mind, but you also have free will. And so they can't push you in any direction, right? And
Mm-mm.
that this is why the communication has to start with you, because you have to be able to say, "Hey, I'm here and I want your attention. I want you to help me. I want you to show me this. I want you to guide me here." Right? And you will get that. And that's why, you know, it's so important that the communication stays reciprocated, because you can ask for this and they can give it to you. But then if you go the other way, like they're not going to grab you by the hair and pull you in the opposite
Mm-hmm.
direction. You have free
Right.
will. You're going to
Right.
end up wherever you end up because that's your choice. And so you have to you have to be open to receiving what you ask for, or else don't ask for it.
That's like one of my favorite ways for people new to anything spiritual. It's one of my favorite ways to have them build that trust muscle is asking for a sign. And they always get it, even though they're like, yeah, but this is like, I don't know, this could have been anywhere. Like they still always get it. And I want to add that for anyone listening who does not resonate with having a womb, it is the sacral space in general. It is the sacral center, the sacral chakra that is sexual energy, creative energy. Everything is birthed through that center. So if you don't connect with the word womb, practice connecting with sacral space, whatever feels good.
Thank you
I'm
for that.
also,
That's a really good
oh,
observation.
absolutely.
Yeah.
As you're talking, I'm like, I feel like you have gate 20 in your Mercury. You probably don't know this, but you're gonna have to look after and let me. She's like, let me get my app. Because I have
Wonderful.
20 in my Mercury, and there's so much that I'm naturally talking about with presence and being in the moment. That's something that's so big for me. And I didn't realize that the things that I were saying, I didn't realize why certain things would bother me that people would do, like at the dinner table or whatever, until I understood this about me. That's the gate of the now and being present.
So where do I find this 20 in my Mercury? Because now you're
Well,
saying two things that are to me. So this is where like my knowledge of like human design and astro charts and all these things is okay, definitely not like deep knowledge. And so for me, 20 is human design, Mercury is natal charts. And I'm like, where do these things
yeah.
overlap?
So it depends if you have an app like Jenna Zoe's, I don't think it shows you where, but in your throat center, if you have
Mhm.
gate 20 lit up, that means you have it. But I don't think that app will show you where
Mm,
in the planets.
no. So my 20 is so my whole this is me.
You're completely open. Oh,
I
so
am
I
a
wonder
shit
if you're
show.
feeling my energy. I'm a shit show. You are beautiful.
I'm beautiful chaos.
Oh, so you're pulling in my energy of my 20 and you're identifying like what it is to that my community will want to hear because that's something that I speak about. So that presence factor that was so magnified through you through because of my energy probably.
And it's so important for me also, and this is something that I realized after I started learning a little bit about my human design. It's another reason why it's so important for me to go within to find my source of information, to ask myself, my sacral, my womb, my guides, my highest self, what am I supposed to do? Because otherwise, because of my open the open chakra, that's not what it's called for HD though.
The
What's
head
the top
center?
one called? The head center.
Yep.
It is so easy for me to go online and be like,
Same.
this sounds good. This sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
This sounds good. This sounds good. It all sounds
Mm-hmm.
good. And none of it
Yep.
fucking works for me because
Yes.
it's just having all the pieces to different puzzles, right? It's like having all the ingredients to a meal you don't have the actual recipe for. And so it's so important for me, especially because of my open head center, that I need to make sure I go within first, find my guidance, my intuition, my desire, and then go outward and say, okay, what are the tools that already exist that can help me to do this, right? But I also think this is true for everybody else regardless of your design. I think the most powerful guidance that you can ever have is yourself
Yes.
and tapping intuitively. I call it my inner compass, my intuitive compass. When I talk to my clients about this, it's like your intuitive compass is the best source of guidance you can ever have. So when
Mm-hmm.
you go there first, find the direction you need to go in, and then say, okay, what are the tools that I need
Mm-hmm.
out there? And,
Yep.
like, get this from Adriana, get this from Gigi, get this from somebody else, and then mix it all together. And then now you make it happen, but you're going inward first for guidance.
Exactly. That's what human design is all about. It's like
Mhm.
stop hiring coaches that tell you what to do
Nope.
because that's what broke me when I first started being an entrepreneur. I was like, I'm doing all the things they're telling me to do. And it just felt like I was a failure. So is it safe to say that the entirety of your business is now built upon channeled guidance?
Absolutely. I think as I'm thinking through all the stuff, there's an element of my inward guidance in every single thing that I have put together. And that feels really delicious because then when some launches have not gone as well as I wanted them to, it is easy to say, okay, I know for sure it's not the offer. It could be the marketing, it could be the copy, it could be a bunch of different things, but I know in my heart it's not the offer because the offer comes from the soul. The offer comes from within. And so within is always going to be the right place, right? And so it makes it really easy also to and I talked about this briefly even in the beginning of our conversation, where when you're creating from within, when you are creating intuitively and you're using that intuitive compass to make your business decisions first, if something doesn't go as planned, it is an easier fix because it is yours, right? Like you can look at your kid and be like, I know exactly what you need. You need a nap. I know what you need. You need a snack. I know what you need. You know what it's yours. It's your
Yeah.
creation, right? But secondly, it is so it's an easier fix. And secondly, it doesn't feel like failure. It feels like opportunity because I feel that what the feeling of failure is rooted in is like feeling the deception of it didn't work. And that deception can't come from within. So if I plan my entire launch because coach so and so said, do this first, do this second, do this third, and that fails, I'm going to feel like I was deceived by this person. I did everything they said step by step. But what I didn't take into account is that steps 1 and 5 don't align with me because they're not in my gift, my like zone of gifts. Like maybe I'm not a good speaker, or maybe I'm a great speaker and there was no speaking involved in that. Or maybe I'm a phenomenal creator and there was no creating. It was just systems put into place and shit you click and automate. Like maybe I'm not a very good connector, right? I'm really good at what I do, but I'm not a good connector. And so what I needed was systems that just kind of put everything in place. And this one was all about like get in front of the camera and connect with them and talking like that's not my thing, right? So if you're not, if you're just applying the things and you start to feel deceived by that other person, you start to feel like they lied to me. They didn't lie to you. It's just what worked for them. So
Exactly. Yeah.
when you start from within, I feel like the adjustments that need to always be made in business. And even if it goes well, then you can say, okay, this thing that I have created that is going well, what does it need to go better? It is easier to tell when you've created it when it comes from within, whether it's something that went as planned or it went better than planned and you want to elevate it more. It's so much easier when it comes from within.
It makes so much sense why we are in the same community with the same mentor. I'm like, everything you're saying, I'm like, yes, yes. It's because that's how we live now. This is literally like a lifestyle, which it takes trust to build. Like it takes building trust with all of this with yourself. This isn't an overnight thing. So it's not like we're sitting here immediately saying, do it, tap in, and then that's going to be perfect. And that's your soul's offer. Like it takes time. Thank you so much for sharing all of this with everyone here. Where can people connect with you further?
The quickest way to find me is on Instagram, GiGi Diaz Live. That's GiGi, D as in David, IAZLIVE, or on my company's Instagram, Seizing Happy. I'm usually in there chit chatting in the DMs all the time. So,
And you have a podcast too. I mean,
I
I feel
do
like
have
you
a
just have
podcast.
everything.
Yeah, not everything, not yet. But I do have a podcast also. It's called Chats with GiGi. It's gone through so many evolutions since I first started it. Back when I was working in radio, it was for celebrity interviews. Then it became something else, and then now it's to highlight amazing women entrepreneurs who are making impact by following their own intuitive compasses and the ways that we can collaborate together to share messages to people to other women out there who are looking to elevate their lives and to tap into their greatest selves.
Beautiful. More spaces like that, the merrier. I love
Yeah.
that. Thank you so much for being here with us. I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.